So hey everyone, and welcome to the second talk on what you're going to do after you passed your Part 107. So you completed that big hurdle, you've got your commercial drone operator's license, and now you want to start drumming up some business and doing business. Well, the most well-known business use case out there has to be real estate photography, right? When you look around the web and you watch other people's videos on YouTube, oftentimes people are talking a lot about doing real estate photography utilizing their drones. So I thought this would be a great starting point to talk about the things that you do and don't need when you're first starting off your drone business. You're not going to know everything right away. Even if you've been studying for the Part 107 and maybe looking around at the different options for what you can do in the drone industry, there's probably a lot of things that you still don't know about. So in this case, we're going to go through this basic business use case, real estate photography, and talk about the items that you're going to need in order to fulfill the jobs. And you might learn about a few things that you hadn't considered yet as you're building your drone business. So, all right, let's talk about what are our drones, because, that's our starting point here. What are these drones used for? Yeah, we're going to use them for real estate photography. But mainly, today's drones are flying cameras, okay? They're capable of taking photos and videos, and they can do it from above the ground in the skies. So that offers a really unique perspective, right? Most modern drones are also GPS enabled, so that allows them to collect their location information. They can also do elevation information. And in higher end applications, things that go beyond real estate photography, we can do a lot with the images and data we collect. And we're going to talk about that in a later part of this series. So the images and video we capture are geotagged. They've got all of this additional information that's usable in other industries. Some drones that are out there today are also capable of detecting obstacles in their path, so they're even a little smarter. They can help you achieve safer flights. One example would be the Skydio 2. It's a very interesting drone with a lot of tracking features, but once again, that drone is flying around with a camera that can do photography and video and has some pretty smart obstacle avoidance. So, common drone usage, real estate. Whenever people talk about drones, the topic of real estate comes up often. So that's one of the first things that pops into people's minds because, hey, there are a lot of houses out there. There's a lot of raw land out there. Realtors are trying to sell these properties, and owners are looking to sell the properties too, or to buy new properties as well. So showing off homes for sale from above gives potential buyers a whole new view on the house that they're interested in purchasing. Real estate video is also becoming more popular with drones as well. And finally, exterior 360-degree photos are also in demand today from realtors. And we can do all of these things with some of the most basic drones out there. So, image and video capture, since we're going to be capturing photos and we're going to be capturing video, that implies a couple of things. Number one, you're probably going to need to know something about image editing and video editing. No matter what type of camera you used, whether you're using a ground-based DSLR or maybe one of the new mirrorless cameras or a drone camera, the need for photo editing is going to come up. So don't think for a moment that some realtor down the road is not going to ask you, can you do some edits to these photos? So you're going to need some basic photo editing skills and some basic video editing skills in order to work with realtors and other clients for that matter. 360-degree drone panos will also require some editing skills and potentially some higher-end editing skills as well. So the basics that you're going to need for the drone real estate work, your drone, pretty obvious. Some type of photo editing software, some type of video editing software if you're going to offer video. Maybe a 360-degree panorama service provider. And you're probably going to need some other business basics for your drone work. Okay, I'm giving you fair warning. Don't get discouraged with the next slide, okay? I'm just being as honest as I possibly can with you, so we're going to break down some prices and some minimum equipment and software that you're most likely going to need. So we're going to go through a list of my gear and my software. All right, so this is my basics for drone real estate photography. I purchased a Mavic Pro back in 2017 and a Mavic 2 Pro in 2018, shortly after they were released. You're going to need some spare batteries for each of your drones. So I've got 3 spares for my Mavic Pro. I've got 6 batteries for my Mavic 2 Pro. The current Mavic 2 Pro batteries retail for $149 each, at least on DJI's website. So having 6 of those cost me about $894. I also round it up and say close to $1,000 just in batteries. I use Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop for photo management and editing. Costs $10 a month or $120 a year. You're going to need some kind of photo editing package, I promise you. So it might not be Adobe Photoshop or Lightroom. You might choose something else like Affinity. I'm using Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop because they tie together so well, and Lightroom is such an incredible photo management platform. So most of my workflow can revolve around Lightroom, and then the heavy lifting, I use Photoshop. Also, Apple's Final Cut Pro. So I'm in Apple environment here. I might be switching to Windows pretty soon. I've been debating that for a little bit. But I use Apple's Final Cut Pro for video editing. So that's a $300 program you download from Apple. I currently have kind of a midline iMac. It's a couple of years old, but I went over to Apple's website today and checked out one of their lower end models that starts at $1,299. I have drone flight insurance, so both of my hulls are covered. If I have an accident with my drone, we can replace the drone. And I also have liability insurance so that if anything is broken by the drone or somebody is injured by the drone, we have coverage there. So that's costing me about $75 a month. Now, I run my own website and I do website development for some clients. So in the website development sphere, I use an SEO management platform as well to see how my keywords are doing against competitors and how I can get more people coming to my website to learn about my drone business. That software runs me $100 a month. My website hosting is costing me $420 a year. That's $35 a month. Also, I've designed my own website. I do my own web work. So there's a lot of my time sunk into there as well. So I'm not getting a paycheck for that part of the work that I'm doing, but it is helping me to attract more clients. I utilize Dropbox for sending images and video to my clients. We also do a couple other things for deliverables for clients too, but I am maintaining the Dropbox account year round, so that's what it's costing me. Also, there's some other miscellaneous items if you're building a small business. Medical insurance. Yes, I cover my own medical insurance. Auto insurance, workman's comp. You get the idea. All these other little things. Plus, I also have an accountant do my taxes every year for me as well, because I'm not an accountant. I'm focused on other things. My time is better used on my drone work, and then I hire other professionals in their industries for the things that I'm not doing. So keep in mind, you're probably going to be hiring other service providers to help you out in other facets of your business. All right, that was a lot of numbers and scary numbers and sounds super expensive. Don't panic. Number one, you can write this stuff off, at least here in the US. So my fixed investment, so the computer, the drones, the batteries, comes in around $5,390. You don't have to buy everything all at once. Most likely, you've got a computer that's probably good enough to at least do photo editing, maybe video editing as well. My monthly expenses, and I didn't even list everything, I left other personal things out, but came in at $232.50 a month, so about $2,800 a year. So wow, it's some expenditures there. Most likely you've got that computer, you've got your drone, you've got your batteries. You might ask yourself, do I have enough batteries to get multiple jobs done in a day? These are things that you're going to look into as you start growing and developing your business. So, and this list also doesn't account for other software that I use for my construction clients, park clients, and even more. So this list was just some of the stuff. I didn't include my 3D modeling software or anything because we're talking about that basic starting point for your business. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves. So don't start thinking about 3D modeling software or maybe agriculture monitoring software, all those types of things. We'll talk about those later when we get into some more advanced topics. But this is a series for beginners. I want the people who have recently gotten their Part 107s to get as much information here as they can to help them in their business decisions as they move forward building. All right. Also, we're going to be really realistic in this series. I'm not going to pull any punches. The price is the price. I'm going to tell you about that, okay? So as you can see, there's more to starting up your drone business than just having the drone and the controller. There's going to be some other investment. There's going to be some other capital investment going on. This is not to discourage you at all. Seriously, it's not. Starting up a business has expenses involved with it. So that's all there is to it. And as far as business startups, this is an under $10,000 investment. A lot of other new businesses expend a lot more money building their businesses up. Just think of new restaurants, how much money they have to pour into all of that equipment. All right, remember, if you're starting out part-time, you can build up these extra software packages and hardware over time. So if you're only doing this part-time, you can kind of wade into the swimming pool. You're not diving right in. As you can see, the expenses do add up, and that's really the point that I wanted to get across to you, was just to let you know that this isn't the cheapest thing in the world, and you're going to have some initial capital outlay. That's all there is to it. All right, the old expression, you have to spend money to make money. We've all heard it. It's true. So in order to succeed in building your small business, we've got to be willing to spend where we really need to. And I stress really because there are software packages you're not going to need right away. So don't get ahead of yourself. Take a look at where you're at today. Start at that point. We're not going to spend to where we're thinking, yes, we're going to be successful in a couple of years, so go ahead and spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. No, we want the basic starting point here. Another thing to take note of, if you don't want to learn how to edit images or edit video, you are going to be at an extreme disadvantage, okay? Not only do realtors want you to be doing drone flights for them and drone photography and video for them, oftentimes realtors would really prefer it if their drone operator was also an interior photographer as well. And that's a whole other ball of wax with a bunch of additional equipment. We're not going to touch into that any more than just noting it right now. All right. So with that in mind, you're going to need to plot your course wisely. You're going to need to start filling in your knowledge gaps. And there's a lot of great classes out there on YouTube and Teachable and Udemy. So make a list for yourself. Figure out what your strong suits are. Figure out where you're weak. And then start into that learning curve. Always be willing to learn more. All right, here we go. So keep in mind, we've just talked about a basic use case. So one of the most basic uses, real estate photography. So it's very well recognized, and a lot of people starting into the drone business look at real estate as their first stepping stone into doing more with their drones. So as you start looking more into the complex drone applications, costs will rise. The learning curve will become steeper. And your expectations for your clients are going to be more complex because it's not just photos or video that you're delivering to them. You might be giving them volumetric analysis, doing time lapses, doing 3D modeling, doing 2D modeling. As you start getting into all those use cases, there are going to be more hardware pieces that you're going to need and more software that you're going to need. So once again, pace yourself and take your time. There is no rush to do this. You need to start planning your goals. And you need to give yourself a reasonable timeline to start achieving each of these goals. Well, I hope you enjoyed this talk in the series, and we'll see you in the next one soon.